Hello, everyone. I think we can start. Welcome to the Innovation Toolkit session. Good to see all of you, after 2 years. My name is Eslam Farahat. I'm the product manager for interoperability. And today we will giving you overview in the Innovation Toolkit. So as a start, let's start, with the agenda. So in today's session, we will be covering the Innovation Toolkit goals, why we have the Innovation Toolkit, overview about it, and some of the solution we're already using with Innovation Toolkit. And then by the end, we will have a demo just to show you some of the usage for the Innovation Toolkit in action. Few of the benefits you will gain with Innovation Toolkit is that you will gain easy access to TrakCare through FHIR. You have it in a secure way, and also it gives you like a faster way to innovate. And that match with all the messages you were hearing in the morning about easy access to the data. So first, let's talk about why we have Innovation Toolkit. So as you saw in the morning, is basically about giving easy and simple access to the data through FHIR. So as TrakCare, we have a lot of clinical data, administration data, and we're already over the boss. We have already a lot of capabilities to do the interoperability and integration, and you're able to do that. But we want just to simplify all of that and just give it in a straightforward way. And in the coming slides, we will just, explain more about that. So TrakCare Innovation Toolkit, as you can see here on the slide, is just a tool or a solution is sitting on top of IRIS for Health. And just working as more like you can consider like a middleware between external systems and TrakCare. And the idea is that if you have a solution like AI or machine learning, or you have a chat bot, or you have Microsoft Teams, or you have CRM system, or smart application like Apple Health, like all kind of application you would like to implement it in your organization as a customer or as a startup you would like to build, all of that have a need to gain access to the clinical data and administration data. And this is what we are providing through the Innovation Toolkit. So Innovation Toolkit is just make it much simpler, make the deployment much easier, and giving you in a standard format all the clinical data on the system.
What version is that going to be out in?
The version of Innovation Toolkit itself?
Yeah.
So Innovation Toolkit is sitting on top of IRIS. So we're starting supporting it from 2020.2 and then up and running. And the next slide will be talking more about that. So to get started with Innovation Toolkit, you just need to make sure you already have a recent version from TrakCare. So we already support that from TrakCare T2020, and then upper, so you have 21 or 22, all of that is supported with Innovation Toolkit. You need to have what we call healthcare messaging framework. So that's a layer already coming as a part of TrakCare. That's not separate. It's already part of the solution, but just you need to make sure that it's already up and running and configured. And in all the new installation now, it's already there. Last thing, just to get started, and make it easier for you to do the installation, Innovation Toolkit already hosted on a GitHub. So you can just go to the GitHub page, and we'll get a little bit in detail later, and just install it and start using it. And to simplify the process and make it much easier for you without any, getting worried about, your server or specs or all of that, we are giving Innovation Toolkit on top of Docker. So as a part of the installation, when you will be installing it from the GitHub, you can install the Docker file, so you can just get Innovation Toolkit up and running like in a matter of 15 minutes, and it should be ready for you to start doing the development. Another key thing we are doing with the Innovation Toolkit, it's coming with IRIS for Health Community Edition. So that's covering, for your point, is that we already coming as a part of that, we're already providing a license. That's a free license. And again, the idea is just to give to startup developers or even developer from our customer, if you would like to start using Innovation Toolkit without wearing a license, or if you are maybe in an old release and you still need to upgrade, you don't need to wait all of that. Once you install the GitHub files, then you should be up and running also with the license included. Last thing, and also this is something we consider, is that we are adding already some sample data as a part of Innovation Toolkit. So if for privacy reasons, or again, if you're an old release, or you are not ready yet to connect, or maybe again, you're a startup, or you would like to play with the data from TrakCare. So we're already embedded as a part of the files you will be downloading from the GitHub, like around 2 patients with all kind of clinical data that you can use it to start developing your app or testing your idea. And the biggest advantage we are doing it with Innovation Toolkit is that you don't really need to worry about TrakCare data dictionary or data structure, because that one of the biggest struggle we saw when customer trying to use their clinical data is that they need to know how the clinical data structure in TrakCare, the tables, and all of that. So with FHIR, you really need to be aware about FHIR. So the solution, assuming that you are aware and have the knowledge of FHIR. And if you don't know much about it, there's already a lot of content online that you can go through it. And also, we have our portal learning InterSystems.com that you can go there and you can know more about IRIS for Health and also about FHIR. Next is few considerations you need to be aware when you start to building something on top of Innovation Toolkit. One is the terminology. So Innovation Toolkit will give you the clinical data in FHIR format, but the coding, the descriptions, the details already coming from TrakCare is based on what terminology used in each customer. And that's something can be vary from customer to customer. Like in today morning sessions, they were talking about some customer can have ICD-10 codes, some having SNOMED. So that's something you might need to consider and have the flexibility to work with both. And also we have the availability in both Innovation Toolkit and TrakCare to do some kind of mapping. So you can do mapping if needed, but that's something always you need to consider. Another thing is the volume of data. Like some of data is really huge, especially the observation. So that need to be considered when you're doing your solution. Last, as mentioned, we already have an easy way for you to do it, to do the development. But once you move that to the production, you need to consider always high availability. And since all of that is built on top of IRIS for Health, we already have the scalability, and you can expand it and you can have multi-servers. But that's something you need to be aware, and we are happy to recommend for you the best model based on the solution itself. Next, we will be talking about some solutions was possible by just using Innovation Toolkit and make our life easier by just using it. So those solutions, and this is not everything, this is some. One is Apple Health Record. I will be talking about in detail in coming slides. Second is Smart Card, Smart Health Card, and the last is the PowerApps in Azure. So first, let's talk about Apple Health Record. So Apple Health Record, if a little background, if you're not aware, is a feature introduced by Apple in iOS 14 that can allow for any patient, anyone, just to connect to their EHR and download their medical record. And I think Don was touching on that is now it's too complicated in many, for many people that if you want his medical record. So that's one of the reasons they introduced this feature that you can access your EHR, download your medical record, and have it in your phone. That feature started in US, but now it's have been expanded to both UK and Australia, and we're already testing it with a customer in UK. So what you see here on the slide is just a screenshot from the work we've done with Apple to verify and test our integration. So here on the left, you can see like when you just go and connect to your Apple Health portal, so EHR need to support that, and this is what we've done. Then you will be introduced with, in the first screenshot showing you InterSystem, which is usually will be your hospital, and just will give you the option to say, download your medical record. Once you do that, then it will ask you for a username and a password. And this is something we're supporting with Innovation Toolkit. So we have enrollment process that can allow the patient to get their access details through the hospital and use that to verify when they connect through their phone to make sure that you are allowed to download only your HR as a privacy. Once you've done that, then as you can see on the screen, and this we will show later in the demo, then I was able to have my medical record on my phone, all my lab results, all my medication, and I can carry that with me on my phone, and this is only to me. And also, just recently, they introduced also the option to share even the same information with other members of family. Same solution already also supported in Android. There's other companies like Common Project that support something similar, and you can go from your Android phone, same way, just connect to the HR, and then download your medical record. Another solution we use with Innovation Toolkit is what we call Smart Card or Smart Health Card. So Smart Health Card is a new standard have been emerged during the pandemic, and it's basically built on top of FHIR, which is allowing you to have a digital card in your phone that can show your vaccine, similar to what's showing here, or it can show you your PCR result, and even it support up to showing all your medical record. And the biggest advantage of the smart card, it's built from the ground up to be secure, as open source, and can be shared by different ways. One of those is a QR code. So you can have a QR code, share it with the patient, maybe through his vaccine report or by email or personal community, and the same, he can just scan it and add it to his phone. So if you're traveling and you would like for us coming from UAE, and we want to show our vaccine just to board here, you can have that, but it's in a digital way. You don't need really to have it like a paper-based. And I think it's really trend now here in US to have always a digital vaccine card. And the same we will be showing you about in the demo, but here on the slide we're showing you two ways. One, if you have already a connection to your medical records through Apple Health Record, you will always, when you have a vaccine, have an option like that, what's shown is the screen to download the smart card. Or the other option we will be showing in our demo is that if you have the QR code, just you need to scan it, and then it will be added to your phone. Yeah.
Licensing with Track, if you go this route.
License with Track, sorry.
Yes, you need Track licenses to.
You need, so that's the solution itself is coming on top of TrakCare, because the vaccine data, the lab result, all will be built from TrakCare. So that all this solution is assuming that you have TrakCare, yeah, okay. But same, all of that is built on top of IRIS for Health. So if IRIS for Health, you need to do it, but the idea for us is we are building that just to make it easy for our customer, just to take this as out-of-the-box solution. Next, another example of using Innovation Toolkit is Business App or PowerApps. So I will be talking about MedixNote. So MedixNote is a company in UK that working to bridge the gap between both the clinical ecosystem like TrakCare and the business needs. So let's say if you have some business workflow and you would like to have it in Azure, similar to many of our customers, you try to connect both. And as you can see here, like on the left, we have Innovation Toolkit, and on the right, we have Microsoft application, like they have their data warehouse, you have custom connectors, PowerApps, and all of that. And then what MedixNote, they are working in the middle, they have their own solution just to connect to Innovation Toolkit and use that to power the business app required by the customer. So here, just as examples, they built a workflow that basically allow the physician, when they send to some of their groups to ask them to review a file with the URN or MRN number, they can basically use the Innovation Toolkit to pull the clinical information from TrakCare and put it in a task and assign it to a set of group, maybe to do something like code review. So here, this is like a screenshot from Power Automate, which is using all of that. He's using a connection to TrakCare, he's using Azure apps, and basically like here, when you send just a sample, just email with a URN, they were able just to inject the same in a team group, and also the same was going to assign to a specific group with the patient details coming from TrakCare. So this is just an example, but in reality, even the same can be expanded to if you want to have a chatbot inside Teams, similar to what we saw with some of the customer in HealthShare, and the same can be used like physician can ask questions to the chatbot saying, give me the latest result for patient X. And just the chatbot can use the Innovation Toolkit just to put the information and show it inside the chat without having to log in TrakCare. Or even can be like the case have been mentioned in the morning, like if you have a CRM application and you would like in your call center, every time someone from your patient is calling, you would like to show in the CRM information about that patient, like what is his appointment, what is his demographic. So when someone will be calling or replying in the call center, he's already aware about the history. So they don't need to ask him. They can just basically start, handling with all this information available. So they can say, okay, are you calling about your appointment today? Which is really enriching the patient experience. So this is just an example, but there is no limit. As long as we are providing the data, this is something up to you as a developer or as a customer or a startup to see how really you can use this data. Next, we'll be showing you like a demo on how to use first Innovation Toolkit, and then we'll be showing about Apple Health and the smart card. So first, before we do the demo, I just want to highlight that all the details about the Innovation Toolkit is already on our GitHub page under InterSystems. So if you're interested, please, you can go to visit this page. We already have added on top of it a detailed step-by-step we done in last Global Summit on how to do the installation for the Innovation Toolkit and how to use it. So you can have a look, and also the steps on how to install it. And we are offering like 2 options to install the Innovation Toolkit. You can install it with Docker, so you don't need to worry about server or RS anything, just everything will be installed out of the box. Or the second option is that if you already have RS for Health already installed, or you have a server, you can install the same on the same server. You don't really have a Docker as mandatory. It's just an option to make it easy to use. So now I will not just go with installation. So if you really would like to later to check the installation, just check this video on this page. I will just show you like Innovation Toolkit in action. So I will be logging from here. This is the Innovation Toolkit portal. So it have some links to allow you to configure the FHIR configurations, access to TrakCare, smart app if needed, and also to test the smart app. And this we already covered before. So today we will be focusing on 2 things. One is FHIR tests and how you can call FHIR and getting FHIR response from the Innovation Toolkit. And second will be about the Smart Health app. So to do some FHIR queries, you can do that from Innovation Toolkit or from your own tool. So let's first try with the UI already coming with Innovation Toolkit. So I click on FHIR test utility, and here it gives me like 2 options. One is to do a search and one to do a read. So the search is allowing you just to search with basic demographics, like you can search by first name, last name, date of birth, and gender, and even there are more details, but for now we have this already here. So I will just search for Derek, and I will just to do the request, I click on send request to FHIR endpoint. And as you can see here in the response, I already got quickly a response with patient matching Derek, which is 1, and it have all the details about that patient, the demographic details. The response itself can be JSON, or if needed, you can get the response also in XML. So it really, whatever you like, so both already available. This is an option to run it from here. There's also another option to make it easy for you to access is that you can export the same profile to Postman. And Postman is one of the most common tools just to call web services. So for now, I click export to Postman. I will not run it. I'll just keep it for now. Next, I want to show you the patient read. So patient read is allowing you to read the clinical data for a specific patient. So here you just need to put the MRN. So as I mentioned earlier, if you don't have a connection to TrakCare and you would like to see the data without even connecting, you can use the one we already have it as a part of Innovation Toolkit. We call it demo URN. So without changing anything and click send to request, it will just go and use the demo data so you can use it. Or if you have an actual MRN and you already connect to TrakCare, you can do the same. So this now we will just go to Innovation Toolkit and return to me a bundle of all the information like appointments, like encounters, diagnoses, procedures, and all of that. And as a part of the same UI, if you really would like to see a full trace, you can click on FHIR Visual Trace, which will showing you the RS for its trace. So you can see really step by step what was the request, what was the response coming from TrakCare, and final output. If you would like to troubleshoot or even you're interested to know more details how it's doing it. And for now, I will just export the same also to Postman. Last, I will just go to Home. And showing you the Smart Health Card. So Smart Health Card is just a screen showing you how Smart Card works and what are the generated ones. So it show you like a quick demo how Smart Cards looks like. So for now, I will just click on send a request to FHIR. And this time, other than it show me a bundle of JSON, it just show me a list of results. And this result is basically the vaccine and lab order, this is the main target is used in the smart card. So if I click on something like Modena as example and I click on the details, you can see that the innovation toolkit, it didn't get me only the data, but even it generated for me the JSON required for the smart card, because smart card is actually is FHIR, but it should be in a minimized format so it can be generated as a QR code. Also, it generates for me the QR code data if I want to share it with patient by email, whatever, and also the image if you want to embed it in a report. So this is just a showcase, but later in Postman, I will show you even from your app, if you're running, you can get the same data, and again, just empowering notification, and something can be a good value for the patient experience. So for now, I will just export the same to Postman. And now I will show you how to call the same from external tool like Postman. So I will be utilizing the same request I have already exported. I'll show you how to easy to access. So I will just in Postman click on File and Import. I just click on Upload Files. I will select the two requests I have already exported from the Innovation Toolkit. This is an example, but actually even in Postman, you can do it directly. So I click on Open, and I just import both the smart card and the search. And you will notice here on the left that now I have two sample requests, one to do the patient search and one just to run the smart card. So I will start with the patient search, and I just try to run it in Postman as is. So once I done this, it failed and showed me 404, which is invalid, because basically the only missing piece now is authentication. I need to authenticate my request. So for now, I will just do that quickly. So I will say it's basic authentication. I have already username and password by default, and I will call the same. So now you can see that I got a response, and this response is the result of the search. And it's telling me what is the patient details and demographics and everything. So that's an easy way for you to call the Innovation Toolkit and get your data in FHIR. Same also, you can run it in different language from Postman. So with Postman, it have an easy way just allowing you to select which language you're interested, so Python or Swift or .NET or whatever, and then it will show you exactly how this request you can write in your own language. So if you want to do it in another language, you can do it, and you will have a similar request and response. Next, I will show you the smart card. So if I just go in the smart card and do the authentication again, and I just send the same request. Yeah. So when I send the request for the smart card, the output is a little different. So once you send to the Innovation Toolkit the patient MRN, it will return to you all the result with their smart card. So it will show you like the QR data, the image itself, and everything you needed to use those cards in action. Again, so as example, maybe a typical example is that in patient portal, you would like to show the same QR code, the one we will be showing in the demo, so it allows the patient to scan it and store it to their phone. And this is what we will be showing now. So if I just go to something like FHIR, this one, and I click on details, so here on the screen, I'm just mirroring my phone. So I just open that, open the camera, and just if you try to scan the image, you'll see it just automatically showing you the vaccine, because Apple automatically detects the card. And if I click on that, you can see that my iPhone is just showing me now that if I want to add my health card to my wallet. And once I click Add to Health, it's saying it added. And you can see now on my iPhone, it's already showing me the digital card with all the details. One of those is this QR code. So that QR code can be scanned by any phone or any app, so they can verify in the airport that this is legitimate. And also you're always having on the smart card the source. And that's something is already encrypted, so they can easily, as example, here we are using our sandbox. But in your case, let's say it should be your hospital is already mentioned here. It will show you the code of your vaccine, the name, date of birth, so everything that they can use it as authority to verify your card. And again, this is just a convenient way just to have it. And the same will be shown in both in your wallet, in the iPhone, and also it will be showing in Apple Health. And again, that's open standard. So it's not really Apple wants. Same already works with common project on Android, so it can work with both. If I try another card, just to show the other one, let's say Modena. So you can have multi-cards. So this time it will be showing me a different vaccine. And again, it just show you on top, if you can see, is the vaccine itself. It can show you the patient name, date of birth, everything. So even you can have different cards for your family on the same phone, and it will show their details. And once I add it, it's already there. So under my immunization for COVID vaccine, I have both. One is FHIR and one is Modena, and it will be carried as a part of your phone. Since I'm already on my phone, let me show you also the Apple Health record. So this phone is already connected to our sandbox through Apple. And now you will notice under health record, it's already started showing me data. So as example, if I go under health record and showing allergies, it shows you the allergies. I have it in my medical record. If I go to something like shellfish, it will show you all the details. Who documented, what was the reaction, and any notes when it was used inside TrakCare. If I go to something else like conditions, so it will just show me all the condition I already have it in TrakCare and have been documented under my case. Last is lab result. So here under my lab result, you can see it's already showing me all the lab result I have it in the hospital, and even it's showing me which one is out of range or within the range. So if I click on glucose, it will show you the details, and also it will give you a brief about this lab result. So if you need to know more, it's more like patient education. It gives you a little bit, and this is coming from Apple, not from us, and this is based on the learning code. So you're already having this option as a part of the health record. And if I go to cholesterol, it's the same. So there are already similar solution, like if you even want to build the same as mobile app for your patient, you can. But the advantage of this one is, again, is the standard that once you implement it, you can provide it to your patient, and they really don't need to install any app. They can use it either on iPhone or Android. So this just was like quick demo about Innovation Toolkit. For the next step, we really encourage you just to go to our GitHub, install it, and start using it. And as we mentioned, you really, if even you don't have an access to TrakCare, you can use the demo data there just to try it and see how it works. If you need to know more about IRIS for Health or Innovation Toolkit, you can go to the GitHub, and for IRIS for Health, you can go always learning InterSystems.com. And last, if you are one of our customers, always feel free to go to client community. We provide already to our customer just to go and post any questions you have. Last is, please, if you like to talk about it, I'm already here till Thursday. Feel free anytime to come to me to talk about it, or drop me an email or send me on LinkedIn. You know, you're most welcome. Other than that, if anyone have any questions, please.
So the innovation toolkit is an API is connecting to the InterSystems IRIS platform.
So Innovation Toolkit is more, as you can consider, like a solution running on top of IRIS for Health. So it's just running on a separate server, not TrakCare. It's completely separate, having IRIS for Health. On top of that is the layer that we just using to translate the information coming from TrakCare to FHIR. And that should be very clear, even in the slide I showed in the beginning.
So then how are we connecting into your Apple phone? Is that an API?
Yeah, so you mean to connect to Innovation Toolkit from the applications?
So you said the Innovation Toolkit is a separate server running on parallel with your FHIR server, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So if I want to use my phone connecting to my Innovation Toolkit, your server,
So you talk about something like Apple itself?
Yeah, but how do you connect it? What do you connect? Is that an API, the Apple API?
So for Apple solution, so you're already connecting through Apple. So Apple usually they have a registration program for the hospital that you go in that portal and you need to register under the customer name, the hospital name, and you need to provide to them an endpoint. So usually you will have Innovation Toolkit in the DMZ zone, and this is usually exposed over the internet. and usually Apple servers will be connecting to that, and then will be moving the information to your phone. So everything comes through Apple. So it's not like your phone will be connected to the Innovation Toolkit or TrakCare. Your phone always will be connected to Apple servers. This is for the Apple Health Record case. That's how it works.
How is it supported through TRC, WRC?
So that's a good question. So for that, if you won't have any issues with customer, just follow the standard channel, which is like TRC and all of that. But if something really, let's say, just like in early development, we usually engage, so myself and the product team, just to make sure, we are matching, and if anything, we need to discuss. But post that, of course, after it goes live, it follows a normal channel. Yep.
If let's say we have custom developed mobile app,
Yes.
can you utilize the toolkit?
Yes, that's a good question. So for us, we actually built the innovation toolkit to cover such use case. So basically, what you would need is just to have innovation toolkit installed. You have TrakCare already up and running, or still? Yeah. Okay. So I would suggest you just install the innovation toolkit. If you see, like from the one I was showing, let me just. From Postman, this is actual REST. Like if you know about FHIR, it's actually like a REST endpoint. So you just need to connect to that REST endpoint like Postman is doing, pass to us the authentication, and that's something usually like if like backend is just like basic authentication and just like the MRN for that patient. And then what will be happening is that it will return to you like a JSON bundle with medications, with something like that I'm showing now which is a smart card, like demographics. And it's fairly standard. We're talking about FHIR, so it's not like InterSystems, it's just like the standard and having the information itself. Yeah, and you can try it, and if you have any issues, like as I mentioned, please drop us an email and we can help you. Anything else? Yeah, please.
I don't know if you mentioned it. Does it work on top of IRIS Community Edition?
Correct. So that's mainly for the development. So because the idea is like, as an example, like this case, you still have TrakCare, as I got is not live yet. You don't have access maybe even to TrakCare, and you would like just to have a bundle of FHIR with the data similar to TrakCare. That's why we're giving you on top of IRIS for Health, the community edition, because it's free. But if you have your own, let's say, already a development server, or you have like Base or Scratch that you have access to, you can install the Innovation Toolkit without, as a community, you can use your own license. So like you already have a license, it can be used there. Okay. Yeah, please.
This endpoint means your file server is up and running, right?
Yep. Yeah. And this is what's happening when you do the installation. So part of the installation, similar to what you saw in the morning, we're trying to make the deployment easy. So you don't really need to worry about IRIS for Health, what you need to do with the production. It just do everything for you. Do it and make sure it's always up and running. And that's why we mentioned like during development, you are using like more like a developer mode, we can say. So you can, break it, try to play with it. But in action, you usually have a high availability. So as a part of your TrakCare server, usually it should look like mirror and make sure, let's say, you don't have a single point of failure. Yeah, please.
The interface TrakCare with the FHIR repository is bidirectional or unidirectional. So that means I understand that you can extract information for TrakCare and then give that access through FHIR to these other applications. But let's imagine that I have an application that is able to add additional information.
So, yeah.
Okay, that stored in the file, will that update TrakCare?
So that's a good question. So let me repeat it, that you are asking, is it unidirectional or bidirectional? So basically, if we can get the data back from FHIR system and just put it back in TrakCare. Yeah, it is possible, and we're already doing that. Like we're already doing that in Italy in a project to get the observation. So we're giving them the option to search for patient by current encounter, appointments, whatever. And then they are like capsule, like a middleware. They're sending us observation in FHIR, and we are translating it back and putting in TrakCare. So yes, it supports both. For now, we just started with observation because it's a very common use case. But we are looking for in future to add more cases, maybe like appointments, specific ones. The only thing is just we're a little careful with that because, again, terminology mapping and all of that. So to make sure like the information, when it comes in a correct way. So as example, in the observation, we make sure we have a specific encounters that can be used to record the observation. But yes, that's supported. We're just trying to do it slowly to make sure it works right with TrakCare. Yeah, please.
I'd like to piggyback off what he said. So I have an IRIS server that started with HL7. I switched it to SDA3 and then put that to FHIR, all custom work.
Okay.
So they're going to have a FHIR server. And I was trying to think through, how can I use this? Because it seems like this will be good. Now, I don't know if they have TrakCare as part of their license already, but if they do and they put TrakCare on it, it sounds like they can get the data out of FHIR because they're going to need a front end, which we haven't got to yet.
Yeah.
They need to enter their MRN and they're going to need to enter all that to get the data out. So they could do that same thing we're discussing right now, right?
Yeah, exactly. So like getting the data out is very easy. The only thing for just the data in, we usually do a discussion to make sure it come in the right way because again, TrakCare is a HR system, is not a FHIR only repository. So we make sure that the data coming in correct way.
Okay, so could I took a picture of your information, so I might reach out to you so we can
please.
how to do this.
Yeah, and by the way, we are putting everything in GitHub, even including our code, everything. So if you're interested, feel free to have a look. And that's something, we are working on it. So that's not the end. We are adding more like you saw in the morning, like really there is a new feature coming with ours for us, like the FHIR SQL and like active CDS hooks and action. And that's something hopefully maybe like very soon we will start to implement something similar with that. So that's the biggest advantage is that once you have the FHIR repository, once you have the data in sync with what's in TrakCare, you can have different implementation even beside having the apps.
Okay. Yeah, on the TrakCare side, it seems like there's going to be a bit of work because they're everything. They have FHIR extensions. They got a lot of custom. So it's like it seems like the TrakCare side is going to be a lot of work.
Yep.
There, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, but once the TrakCare side is done, this aspect there may not need to be a lot of work done, right? Like once TrakCare is done, you install that and we're good to go.
Exactly, and this is the point. And this is something we mentioned on the slide is that we're trying to take the worry from everyone about which TrakCare version we have, which functions we have. We're trying to give that for you as a developer, just a one-stop shop, just to getting data and eventually also getting data in because it's more about the future for clinical data and administration data.
So I'm sorry, I don't mean to take everybody's time, but when it comes to if the clinicians want to, like let's say they enter the, FHIR's up, we got TrakCare modified, and we've got the toolkit on there. Even the clinicians, they could somehow use this, right? They can enter the MRN, they can enter the patient right then and there, right, on their phone, right?
So that's what I mentioned at the beginning. Like you can have an app like that, part of maybe Microsoft Teams or building your own app and saying, can you please get me the latest result? And even one of the things we exploring now is we have something called FHIR subscriptions or FHIR notification. Like we can send the result to the FHIR repository and your app can subscribe to the notifications to the physician on his, again, app or Teams or whatever, can get knowing once the result came in a standard way. So that's all of that built on top of the FHIR repository.
Sweet.
Yeah, it is. It is. And this is the idea actually. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah, please.
Can you go to slide 11?
This one or?
Yes, you can get slide number 11.
11, okay.
I was, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so for this, so say a hospital runs TrakCare instance, and we provide the OAuth to log in for the patient.
Yep.
So how does the registration work? Does TrakCare save patients a registration data as a TrakCare database, or we have some other ways to do it?
So when you say save patient registration, you mean like the logins?
Yeah, the logins.
Yeah, so that's for the case of Apple Health, we keep it in the innovation toolkit. So we already have something like enrollment process, like you're talking about authentication and all of that. So what we done basically, we have a page or a screen that usually will be shared with the patient. And similar to the enrollment in our personal community is that with some basic details, you only know it, like date of birth, like specific details, we make sure. And those details, once you try to register on Apple Health as example, it will go to your email. So you need your email and you need to authenticate that, activate it. And then this will allow you to have an access, like a username and password to access your information. So that's one of the ways. That's not everything. Like as example, in UK, they have something they call, if I'm not mistaken, MyGov. So MyGov is like a single sign-on. So you don't really need to use OS2. It's OS2 actually, but you don't need to have your own enrollment. You just already have, like what you have in UAE, your own username and password under MyGov. And using MyGov, we can use it to authenticate you and knowing which medical record is matching the one who's logging in MyGov. And the way it works, usually they have like what you have here in US social security number. So that's already attached to what they have in Scotland, and also we have it in UAE. So and that's something we already exploring, and we already have a site under implementation UK to try that with Apple and MyGov. But again, that's not only Apple, you know, like there are other solution on Android that following the same, because all of that is just more like an open standard. Oh, good questions. Anything else? Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. Thank you.